Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to continue where we left off with two more presentations in the run-up to lunch. And after two extremely informative and interesting sessions this morning, we're going to start with a special one, which is introducing the Gaming and Holland Monitor. Now, we've got Edgar de Berla here to talk about this. And I think for anyone who's launching a brand, has a brand in the Dutch market, this is going to be fascinating, talking through public perception of gambling, behavior, both land-based and online, and indeed the brand positioning and strengths of brand already existing in the market. So, Edgar, I'm going to let you talk a bit more about your company and introduce the port. Over to you.
Thanks. Good morning, all. This seems to be a very special place for a Gaming in Holland monitor, because this place is full of religion from the past. And when I look to religion, and I look to the Jewish, they said no to gambling. When I look to the Christian, they said maybe you can gamble or you can play gamble games. And when you look to the Islam, they said haram. That's totally no. So there was a lot of religion and gambling that's coming together also in this place. And it were the Christians in Holland that do not make the decision of the Remote Gambling Act in the past years. So very special area to have my presentation. My name is Edgar. I am the CEO of the MA Research Group. MA Research Group is representing the brands Market Effect, Direct Research, Sherlock. That's why I'm here for today. And jij bent belangrijk in Dutch. We have more than 90 research specialists working all over the world on research projects, 600 customers worldwide, and more than 75 field workers over the world working. Looking to the Gaming in Holland Monitor, Willem asked us to bring an overview of the Dutch markets. What is the online gambling behavior in Holland? And because of the Remote Act is coming soon, you can have a position in this market. What is gaming in Holland, and how is the penetration look like in Holland? We did a survey of 18 plus in Holland with 2,034 respondents, representative for the Netherlands, and the fieldwork was conducting in the 14th till the 20th of May. There were three main positions in this research. The first one was the associations and the attitudes of gaming, gambling, betting, and games of chance. Second one was the gambling behavior, and then offline versus online. And the last one was the brand funnel in Holland, brand awareness, consideration, and preferences in Holland of the Dutch population. I start with a Dutch word cloud because of this survey was conducted in Dutch, so the questions were in Dutch, also the analytics were in Dutch, so we have to translate it for some of you, and a lot of you are from Holland, so you can read it. The question what asked was, what do you think of gambling? And it was an open question, so you can enter every answer you would like to be. The second dimension on this question, and for me that's the most interested part of this question, is when you say gambling is addicted or gambling is losing, you see the Dutch word verliezen in the word cloud, or verslaving, addiction in the word cloud. Is that word for you positive or negative? And then you see that the Dutch population is, there is a balance between positive words and negative words, tipped by the respondent himself. How more you gamble, so the more heavy users, and a heavy user in our survey was at least playing a game once a month, and then an offline game or an offline game. How more you play gambling, how more positive you are, and positive the worse you are, because then the positive words are going to 50% of it. For me, there's one interesting part when you look to brand funnels. Sherlock is a specialist in brand tracking. They're doing brand tracking all over the world. That's the reason why we did this brand tracking. When you ask the Dutch population spontaneously, what do you think about gambling? You see two brands in it, and that's called Lotto and Toto. And instead of they think about spanning, like excitement, or leuk, like nice, or winning, or casino, it's typical that you see some brands coming through in this first round spontaneously question that we asked to the population. Towards we have three statements. Overall, the Dutch find that both the government and the gambling provider should be committed to combat problematic gamers in Holland. And the first question was about that online gambling should be restricted, online gambling advertising should be restricted in the Netherlands. And then you see that over 50%, over 60% agrees with this statement. And the second one is that gambling operators should be obligated to contribute to a gaming addiction fund. And also here you see over 50% of the Dutch population is agree or totally agree with this statement. And the last one is that government is helping people that are addicted to gambling for the moment, and you see there is such a small part of the Dutch that is totally agree with this statement for the moment. So it seems to be a charity fund or some reason to help Dutch in addiction. Sounds to be like a good idea in your marketing to the Dutch market entry strategy. And then the trust in online gambling. Here there are a lot of foreign brands that might be coming up in the Dutch market, and we are a very conservative population in Holland. We are a very conservative country, and when we ask, I trust online casinos less than physical casinos like Holland Casino or a playing hall, then you see that over 50% is agree or totally agree with it. More interesting is I trust more in a Dutch gambling operator than a foreign gambling operator. And then you see also over against 50% trust more a Dutch brand of a Dutch brand than a foreign brand in this survey. And then about the new law. Dutch Senate approved on the 19th of February 2019 the Remote Gambling Act after years of discussion in our Senate. And for the moment, on the moment that we did the fieldwork here in Holland, 40% of Dutch citizens is familiar with this law for this moment. So 60% isn't for the moment. And when you look to the population that is familiar with that law, we ask them, okay, what is your opinion about this law? So we took the 40% and then asked them the question, are you familiar with the Remote Gambling Act? And then you see some differences, some big group that is neutral for the moment. A big group of 30% that is, we also asked them an open question like, they do gamble, so why not legalize it for the moment? And there is also a group of 20% that's saying gambling must be forbidden at all time. It seems to be in the study that religion is playing part of it. So, and that's why I started my presentation before my introduction about these plays and about religion and the way how you take it in your brand entry strategy here in Holland. Then we go to gambling behavior. And gambling behavior, we start with overall gambling behavior. That's, do you play gamble, yes or no? So you make a split in the survey. When you don't gamble, you can answer these questions. And after that, we go to the offline type of games they play and the online type of games they play for the moment. In the overall gambling frequency, it seems to be that 70% of Dutch population is playing a game for the moment. There is a big group that's playing a game monthly, 19%. There's also a big group that playing a game, 4% is playing a game yearly. It seems to be, we call it the staatsloterij, and staatsloterij have a big lottery on King's Day, and we have a big lottery on New Year's Eve day. So they're playing once a year, New Year's Eve or King's Day for this moment. Men do often play more games than women instead. There's an uplift of 25% on all of these statements. And then the offline gaming behavior. We are a lottery country. I was in Portugal last Monday for business, and I went into, when I say coffee shop here in Amsterdam, it seems to be a totally different thing than when I say coffee shop in Portugal. It was a nice place with some pastisseries and some coffee, and also a big wall of lotteries and scratch cards. In Holland we do it often, but we are a lottery country for the moment and a scratch card country on this moment. How younger the crowd, how more lotteries and how more scratch cards we play. So here again you see that age is a very important part of playing games and playing lotteries in Holland. Now we go some statistics because of 70% of Dutch population is playing a game, and from that 70%, 50% have visited a game hall or a casino or a play hall, and 2% of that 50 from that 70, before I make it very difficult for you, is visiting a game hall every day. This one was interesting because Gaming in Holland told us that the average person in Holland above 18 years and older is losing 172 euros every year by playing a game, or gambling, betting, or whatever. That's high, in my opinion. But when we ask Dutch population that is playing a game, so the 70% that is gambling, what is your feeling about losing? Then you see that the baseline, national representative Holland, 55% has the idea that they're losing money, and there is a group of 12% that is the idea that they're winning money for the moment. When you look to a crossing on age, you see that the baseline of 55% is going to move because of 70% of the 55 years and older, they have the idea that they're losing money on playing a game yearly. And when you take the group 35 years and younger, it's less because there is 35% of the group that has the idea that they're losing money for the moment. And there is a big differences, we're going to show you in a couple of minutes, between losing offline money and losing online money in this survey. After offline, we have the new online market. We asked them what are now the most popular games in Holland in the online market. And then you see that sports betting is the biggest game. This is a multiple select question. So again, the 70% that is playing a game, we also ask them, do you play a game online? It seems to be that the penetration of online gaming is somewhere against 10 and 20%. At the end of the year, we're doing a one measurement, and also next year, we do also measurements in other countries, but it seems to be that the penetration for the moment is 10 to 20%. So there's a big and huge market open for new providers in Holland. Sport betting is the most favorite game in Holland. And when you look to crossing on male, you see there's not 10%, you see it's 16%. So there's an uplift of 60% on that attribute. When you look to age, you see again that on sports betting, 18 till 35, there's an uplift to 28% of that attribution. So there might be a big differences in age again and on male versus female instead. When you ask them on which device do you play that game, we have 3 devices, your laptop, your mobile phone, and the tablet in these. then you see that most used is the laptop for playing games online, 62%. Second one, the mobile phone, and third one is the iPad. More interesting is the question that we asked them, where did you become aware of the operators for your online game? And then you see that a TV commercial is very high. 20% of the online players become aware by seeing a TV commercial. I never seen them, a TV commercial of lottery providers, gaming providers in Holland. So I think it's illegal for the moment in Holland. So it might be football, English football, Spanish football that we see the Unibets of this world. And it seems to be darts, which is very popular in Holland, where we become familiar with these brands. And then the way back about losing money, because we saw that 55% of the Dutch population has the idea that they lose money when they play an offline game. And now you see that in the baseline, 36% of the players have the idea that they're losing money by playing an online game. And that's very interesting. We're looking for the reasons. We ain't asked it. But fact is, there is a big differences between the idea that I'm losing money offline against the idea that I'm losing money online. Maybe it might be that betting is less risk, and after you set a bet on Ajax Feyenoord or Ajax PSV or whatever on with football game, that you don't have the idea that you are gambling, betting for that moment. But it's a fact that online is less than online in this survey. And then my last part is the brand funnel. Brand funnel exists from awareness, prompted awareness. Are you aware with these brands? And we took the Dutch big brands and also new brands, the coming brands in the Dutch market. You see that also here very big differences. Coming in Staatsloterij, Postcode Loterij, Holland Casino. That's the big ones in Holland. But you see also on the right part of the slide a Unibet with 24% brand awareness in Holland for the moment. You see also that We Win has a 12% brand awareness in Holland. That's a lot for things that are not legal for the moment in Holland. Interesting is that when you look to Unibet, you see a brand awareness with 24%. When I make a crossing on men in the age 18 till 34, the brand awareness of Unibet is not 24%, but the brand lift is double. It's 50%. So 50% of the men 18 to 34 years are known, are aware with Unibet for the moment in Holland. And after you have the brand awareness, we have the brand consideration and we have the brand preferences. In consideration, you can know 5 brands, you consider 2 or 3 brands, and you have a preferences always for one brand. Here again, you see that overall the large established parts have the highest rate on consideration and also on preferences in Holland. You see that Unibet and Vriendenloterij in the middle of the slide, Vriendenloterij and Unibet on the right of the slide, have the same preferences for the moment in Holland. When you make crossings on profiling, you see that the Vriendenloterij population is a total different population than the Unibet population. In Vriendenloterij we see the older age, and in Unibet we see the younger ages, especially men, for the moment, that are known by these brands and that consider and give preferences to these brands. And my last slide is about advertising awareness, where you became familiar, or did you become familiar with these brands, and did you saw an advertising of this brand for the moment? Again, the big ones that have the highest advertising recall for the moment, and the small ones. On the right, you see Unibet that have a very small addiction for the moment in Holland on advertising awareness. This was a quick overview of the Dutch market. Quick because I wanted to do it in 20 minutes. because it's data, and I don't have a brand story like you had. And data, I'm going to crunch you all when I do that for 40 minutes. There's a report. My colleague Hans de Jong, director of Sherlock, is here. He's here for 2 days. When you're interested in this report, Hans has them all for you. We're going to do one measurement end of the year and also next year. And we don't do this only in Holland, we do it worldwide, these kind of brand trackings. Are there any questions for the moment?
The presentation, is it working? Okay, now it is. Rob Hubrechtse, 3 Sigma. The question, when you started the presentation, you made a remark that all these figures are for the age group 18 plus. And I'm wondering, is there any data about under 18?
Not here, not in this presentation. We have it because we do research from the age of 12 years on. So we can provide it, but not here for the moment. And under 12 years, doing service is forbidden in Holland, so we can do that. We can do it by the elders, but yeah, it might be a very young age.
Any more questions? There's a hive of information there. And I'm sure you can grab Edgar afterwards and indeed grab one of the reports that they've done. So if there's nothing more, then thank you very much for that. That was fascinating. Thanks, Edgar.
Thank you very much.